Welcome to Swaminarayan Spirituality. My name is Sachin Karnik, and it is my great honor to present to you a series of videos on a variety of topics related to the life and teachings of Swami SAHAJANAND, who is also known as Swaminarayan. Please accept my humble prostrations to you for taking the time to listen to these videos. Please also note that the content material in these videos, as well as on the website swaminarayanspirituality.com, is the result of my own contemplation and independent research, and there is no intention to criticize or promote any spiritual or religious organization that existed in the past, that exists today, or that may exist in the future. So with that said, I want to give you just a little bit of background. Again, like I said, my name is Sachin Karnik, and my life history and background is also on the website, as well as on on a specially created playlist in this particular YouTube channel, and it is also on a variety of other websites. So I want to present to you my reason behind creating this series of videos and this particular YouTube channel. I am a student of Eastern and Western philosophy and religion. I've practiced a variety of different spiritual paths in my life, and particularly I have had the great opportunity to study the tremendous tradition that is known as Swaminarayan Sampradaya. And that tradition is so tremendous and so extensive that there is naturally going to be a lot of confusion, a lot of misunderstanding that can develop over time. And also there are many viewpoints on the same ideas and on the teachings and preachings of Swami SAHAJANAND. So I've had the fortune of studying from so many different sages and saints and devotees and scriptures in the Sampradaya, and of course outside the Sampradaya, the Hindu scriptures, as well as other religious teachings and spiritual teachings. And on that basis, there is a type of understanding that has developed in my mind that I'm simply sharing. I'm not trying to say that somebody's wrong and somebody's right. It is not for me to say who is wrong, who is right. It is for you to decide, the listener, from your own understanding, what you feel is the right path ahead, right understanding that works for you. You know, and that understanding will vary from person to person. So that's one point. The other thing is that this Sampradaya, the Swaminarayan Sampradaya, currently has 40 plus organizations, and they are increasing almost every few years. And that's natural. That is going to happen. That has happened in Christianity. It has happened in Jainism. It has happened in every tradition. In the Vaishnava traditions, you know, there are probably 30,000 different sects of Hinduism right now. And they keep increasing. Different ideas, different interpretations, different followings, different ways. This is natural. Diversity is natural in life. You know, no two people think the same way about anything. Each person's thinking is his or her own perspective and own vision. And that is beautiful. You know, so my intention in creating these audios is for dialogue, is to have a dialogue with the whole of humanity. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be able to talk to the whole of humanity personally, but this is a way through technology to share what is in my mind, and you are most welcome to share what is in your mind with me. It is a sharing. It is a coming together, a wonderful way of exchanging ideas so we can keep exploring and growing together. Again, in my opinion, and I will tell you when I'm giving you my opinion, in my opinion, humanity struggles because we don't sit down together and contemplate together with love and affection and respect. Those who do that will progress in life. And anybody who has progressed anywhere in life has done just this. And the regression occurs when we close off our thinking, close off our exploratory attitude, and then wind up in very strong ideas and beliefs that cause conflict, division, anger, and hatred. And that has also happened in so many religious traditions. It has happened in political traditions, in political history also, because the human ego gets involved. The human ego gets involved in saying, I am right and you're wrong. Then it becomes me versus you. Forget about what is right and wrong. What is right and wrong is just used as a means of the I versus the you. The I versus the you is the fundamental problem of ignorance. And you can look at that from any perspective, from a psychological point of view, spiritual point of view, from a scriptural point of view, in any tradition. Any great, truly enlightened master or teacher has always talked about the problem of the I versus the you. Why should there be an I versus the you? Why can we not live in this world where I am there, you are there, and we share and respect each other, and we can tolerate differences? We can cherish differences and disagreement, because without disagreement, there cannot be progress. And I'm going to illustrate that as thoroughly as possible in all of these videos. It is not that Sachin is disagreeing with anybody. I'm not here to disagree or to agree. I'm going to present things in a very objective way, the way I feel is objective. And then on that basis, you can decide what you feel about this. But my point is that disagreements are good. In the history of India, there have been so many acharyas. These are great enlightened teachers, particularly in South India. And they have disagreed with each other. So for example, Adi Jagadguru Shankaracharya disagreed with Buddha. Buddha disagreed with the Vedic tradition. Ramanujacharya disagreed with Shankaracharya. Madhvacharya disagreed with Ramanujacharya and Shankaracharya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had his own vision. Swami Sahajanand also has his own vision of Vedanta. So disagreement is necessary. Disagreement, if it must not lead to dislike. If you dislike somebody or some position or some perspective because there is disagreement, then that poisons the mind. That dislike is called dvesha in the Sanskrit language. It's called dvesha, the dislike. You see? And that kind of dislike is a contaminant inside the mental and psychological and physical system of the human body, of a human being. And that contaminant then grows further and further and further, and then an illusion of spiritual progress is created based on that contaminant. Now, if we are going to actually make spiritual progress or try to explore what is actual spirituality, what is actual realization of truth and realization of God, if there is God, if we are going to actually realize these things, then the contaminants that are in the system and in our families, in our homes, in our spiritual organizations, these things have to be removed. What are those contaminants? The maximum contamination is because of disliking somebody else because they are different from what you are believing. That is contamination. The dislike is the contamination. Even if there is disagreement, why is it that people cannot sit down together and have a wonderful meal together with love and affection? We find this today. There are so many divisions on the religious side. It's absolutely unbelievable. But that's what it is. The divisions continue, and then the dislike continues, and then the criticisms continue, and it just goes on and on and on. Of course, different perspectives are always going to be there. Different organizations have their place. And these organizations are created for some particular purpose. I have my own organization. It's called Energy and Personal Excellence. It's for the whole world. It is non-sectarian, non-denominational approach to life development based on energy. I don't think anybody can deny the existence of energy. It doesn't matter who one is, one cannot deny the existence of this. So, again, that's an organization that I also have, and I have my own perspective too. So I'm encouraging all of you to develop your own perspective. I'm not asking anybody to believe what I'm saying. I'm not asking anybody to follow me or to accept my viewpoint. I'm asking you to develop your own viewpoint. I'm asking you to develop your own vision and learn from as many sources as possible and develop your own vision, because reality or truth cannot be seen through somebody else's eyes. It can only be seen through your own eyes. And that personal, direct vision of reality is the goal of Swaminarayan spirituality. And that is where the gurus come in, guru paramparas come in, that is where scriptures come in, the role of great enlightened saints come in. So many things are there. I'm going to get into all that. And it is a most incredible journey to take. So if you're ready to take this journey with me, it is a journey we're going to take together. An exploration we will do together. I am not presenting myself as anybody's guru or anybody's, spiritual teacher or any such thing. I'm an explorer and a researcher of spirituality. That's all. And a sadhak. I don't have any particular beliefs, because I am continually exploring based on my own experience and based on what is available in the world today, and on that basis to keep moving ahead. Beliefs are good, but beliefs can also stagnate a person from further exploration. And if you look at the history, the spiritual history of Sanatana Dharma, which is called Hinduism, and even that word Hinduism is totally false. There's nothing like Hindu or ism. Both things are false. I'm going to get into that also. But if you look at the history of what is called the Vedic tradition, the Vedas are the original, scriptures in the history of India. And those scriptures are for the whole of humanity. They have nothing to do with India or any particular country or language. It's nothing like that. They are sound vibrational mantras that are for the benefit of the whole of humanity, and it has metaphysical connection, which I will also explain later on. So, as we take this journey ahead into Swaminarayan spirituality, there is a great deal of foundation that needs to be explained by me, but because I don't feel I would be actually able to open the topic of even of Swami Sahajanand or Swaminarayan Bhagwan as he is known, without the good foundation. So I'm in the process of creating all those foundational videos, and they are going to be uploaded, and there will be a special playlist for that. But please understand, it is my prayer to anybody taking their precious time to listen to this, that the intention is simply to explore as objectively as possible the multiple perspectives and positions that are available today. I will be sharing with you my perspective and position. I'm requesting you to develop your own perspective, and on that basis you can proceed. Now, one more point. If you are belonging to any particular religious organization, whether it is within Swaminarayan or within any aspect of the Hindu tradition or outside the Hindu tradition, if you are belonging to a particular organization and you have a particular way that you're progressing ahead, I have tremendous respect, regard for you. I'm not trying to criticize you or anybody else who is following different paths in different organizations. The different sanstas, they're called, different, psycho-spiritual or religious social organizations. They are created with a certain agenda in mind, certain purpose in mind, certain siddhant or certain perspective in mind, and that is beautiful. Each person has a right to propagate what they want to propagate, and those who accept that, for example, if you accept, just as an example, if you accept one of the organizations that are there right now, any one of them, and if you're part of one of the current Swaminarayan organizations, and you believe whole and soul in that, that's beautiful. I mean, I have no issue with that. I'm not trying to criticize you or the organization. I'm not criticizing anybody. What I am criticizing is the dislike that is there when there is disagreement. That, I think, we have to evolve beyond. Now, if you or I or anybody else wants to maintain dislike and dvesha and negative feelings, if we want to maintain these kinds of things, then you know what? The spiritual doorway is closed. That's my opinion. Negativity and dislike for others because of disagreement is going to completely shut off the spiritual path. In the satsang terminology, in Swaminarayan satsang terminology, this is called abhav avgun. And this is a poison. And until and unless this poison is removed from our minds and our hearts, in the sampradaya and outside the sampradaya, and to realize the reality of love, the glory of love, unless we can stay in that glory, there's no chance of liberation. Liberation from what? We have to be liberated from this first before we talk about any other kind of liberation. And this is the problem. This has been the problem in the history of humanity. And again, Sachin is nothing. Forget about Sachin. Sachin is of no consequence whatsoever, this person who's speaking. My only request is for you to consider with open mind, with clear vision, with a sense of adventure and exploration and wonder what is being presented. The presentation is for the whole of humanity. Spirituality is for everyone. It isn't about a particular group, and the word sampradaya doesn't mean group, although it has been translated that way or explained that way. Even Swami Sahajanand explained the meaning of the word sampradaya in a tremendous scripture known as Vedarasa. That is one of the most final and esoteric teachings of Swami Sahajanand written in Gujarati. I'm going to talk about that granth also, which is not even known to most of the people in the Swaminarayan Sampradaya. In my opinion, that scripture should be read by everybody in the Swaminarayan Sampradaya. Simply because Swami Sahajanand said, this is my internal rahasya. What I really want to say is in this. And I'm going to go into that by the grace of God. And I have started doing some explanations of that. I'll place them all on YouTube. Everything will be on YouTube. But that is the highest pinnacle. That Vedaras is the highest pinnacle. We have to start from the very foundation. We have to start really, from where we are, which is this material world. Everyone is living in this material world with the five senses, running after three things: money, sex, and position and power. Three things everyone is running after. In Gujarati language, it is called Kanchan, Kamini, Kirti. These three things. And Sahajanand Swami and the entire Sampradaya, in its real spiritual sense, is aiming to take the humanity out of this massive bondage. This bondage is so terrible that it causes wars, it causes hatred, it causes the development of weapons, it causes intolerance, it causes degradation of neuropsychological energy, it causes damage to one's entire chakra system. The chakras are the 9 vortices inside the human body. There's 7, but there's 2 more in the back of the head. These are energy centers, and energy is damaged completely right now to a large extent in the human civilization. And that damage is due to hyperstimulation of the brain. So there's a neurological component that is also going to be explained in the context of the Vachanamrut and Swaminarayan's teachings. So this entire synthesis is going to be presented to everyone. And anybody who wants to meet with me personally, you're welcome to do so. I live in Newark, Delaware. You are welcome to come over here. I have a nice place set up here for meditation, contemplation, for dialogue. And everybody is welcome to come. Nobody is going to be turned away from exploring spiritual truths and ideas. So on this basis, please understand that I'm trying to present an integrated synthesis that makes sense, that can potentially be useful for everyone listening to this. Obviously, there's going to be differences of opinion, different perspectives, and that's fine with me. I have no problem with that. I think it's good to have different perspectives. But if we do not recognize the need for undisturbed love, if we do not recognize that need, another way of putting it is that we must recognize the need for undisturbed love. That love is bhakti. Bhakti means love. And that love, that reality of love, is where God exists. That is where the various gurus that have come, the great teachers that have come throughout the history of India, and throughout the other traditions also, truly enlightened beings are filled with love. They don't want anything for themselves. They don't want anything to increase their egoistic psychological waves. That is not the case. They're not running after their ego development. If somebody is, that's not a guru. And there's another point here. Anybody who wants to become a guru, that desire to become a guru is a contaminant. Because that is for position and power, to have disciples, to have this, to have that, to desire to be worshipped, to desire to be followed. This desire to become guru, and you can see even in Swaminarayan Sampradaya and so many other places, the problems that have occurred because of Guru Parampara. One guru goes away, then there's usually a problem about who becomes the next guru because of position, power, name, fame. These things are pursued in a very hidden way, in a very subtle way inside the mind. And by pursuing those things, again, the doorway into the realization of God is completely blocked off. It's the illusion of spirituality. It's not actual spirituality. Actual spirituality is a totally different thing. When somebody is wanting to become a head of an organization and to become something, even that thought, if that thought even comes, that is gone immediately. That person is not a guru by any chance. Real guru doesn't even recognize that he's a guru, he or she. He's not even aware of that. And is shining, God is shining through such a being. That is the real Guru Tattva. And that Guru Tattva, if you see that in the Sampradaya today, or outside the Sampradaya, it's not something that can be recognized by some degrees and diplomas, or how much knowledge somebody has about the scriptures, or how well they can talk about the scriptures. It's not that. It's the presence. You go and sit by an enlightened being, any enlightened being in any tradition of the world, and in any place in the world. Just by going near that person, what do you feel? What is your feeling inside? Do you feel peace and harmony and love and something extraordinary? Not just that, but do you feel that this being has gone beyond ignorance? Is that touch there? That is your experience, not something that has been cultivated by listening to so many other people and then developing a cultivated vision. That also has a place to listen to others and all that, so that we can better understand the glory of God and these things. But ultimately, it's one's own perspective and vision. Let me give you a simple analogy. If you and I are standing on the beach, and the sun is about to come up, and my eyes are totally closed, and your eyes are open, and you are saying, "Oh, Sachin, look and see how amazing this sunrise is." Well, if my eyes are closed, I said, I don't see anything. And if I have like blinders on and all that, I said, I don't see, there's only darkness. There's nothing like the sun. You're making that up. And let's say I've never seen the sun. So what can I do? If my eyes are closed, I can form a belief. I can form a belief that, yeah, there is something like the sun. My friend is telling me that there is the sun. But I haven't seen it. I just have to believe what he's saying. And then I start forming images in my mind of what the sun is like. The formation of the images mentally of what the sun is like is where most of the religious traditions are at. And most of the people are in that mental state. That also has a purpose. That has a purpose to give the spiritual aspirant to finally open his or her eyes and see the sun. That's all it is. This point is written in Bhagavad Gita about Divya Chakshu, that the divine eyes should be opened. We have our physical eyes that are open, but the divine eyes are closed. We have divine eyes, but they're not open. And to open them is the essence of all spirituality. So beliefs are there because we don't have the opening of the divine eyes, so we close, those eyes are closed, so we believe mentally that there is God, we form images, different ideas, so many things like that. So going back to the analogy, my friend is on the beach, he says, look how beautiful, he's describing in detail the sunrise and the water and the air and the atmosphere and the clouds and the lack of clouds and the trees and whatever is around there, And I am then forced to form a belief about what he's saying. Now, I can either disagree with him and say, no, you don't, you're lying. This is what the atheists do. Those who are atheists, they have beliefs that there is no such thing as the sun. And those who are believing in God also have their eyes closed and are saying there is God. But both of them have their eyes closed. This is the problem. This is the difference between Nishta and Anubhav. The word Nishta is a type of belief, and that is, if you can believe that there is no God. That is a type of Nishta also. You can believe that there is God. That is a type of Nishta too. But Anubhav is to open one's eyes and see directly what is there. Now, how does that happen? That is what this website is about. That is what these videos are about. How these eyes can be opened. Because other than that, everything is at the mental level and at the traditional level with certain patterns that have been created. And that's fine. That's good. That psychologically, that's a very good thing to have certain patterns, certain anchoring processes there that keeps the mind stable. That's fine. But beyond that is to open one's own eyes directly and see whatever God may be, to see that reality face to face. And again, this distinction is in my mind. I'm asking you to think about this and to silently look at what is being presented here. Because if you simply say, well, what Sachin is saying doesn't make any sense, or it makes sense, or I believe, if you look at it superficially, it won't mean anything. Time is required to sit quietly and to look at these things carefully by yourself and to see what truth it has for you. The word Nishta, meaning belief, N-I-S-H-T-A, which means strong faith, strong belief, strong trust also. All these things are rolled inside this word. That has a great psychological meaning. And there's great benefit in that. There's a phenomenal benefit in having that kind of thing. But it is psychological, it is mental. It doesn't mean that there is an enlightened state. And there are many instances and incidences in the Sampradaya today and in the past, when the Sampradaya was developing, of people with great nishta, great beliefs, and then they have done just the opposite. They have completely either fallen away or completely wound up in criticisms or even damaged the Sampradaya. The same people. That means they have not, the realization of God is a different matter. Again, the word Sampradaya I'm just using, in terms of the organization at this time. In reality, that word is being used by Maharaj in terms of the experience, the spiritual realization transmitted from one guru to another. That is actually the real meaning of that word Sampradaya. But anyway, the point here is that to open one's own eyes, one's own eyes, divya drashti, divya chakshu, divya bhav, divya buddhi, for that to open up requires contemplation, manana, chintana, satsanga. It requires time to really look through all of this, because the traditions that have developed, particularly within the Swaminarayan Sampradaya itself, the different perspectives and different ideologies and different modalities of worship, these things can be very confusing to the general public. They are also confusing to the people in the Sampradaya. So I'm just going to present my viewpoint and see where it goes. Again, I will be presenting a lot of this from the perspective of the professional field of psychology and sociology and philosophy, using that as a base. Indian and Western philosophy, Chinese philosophy, other philosophies, they will all be integrated together as a base on which Sahajanand Swami's teachings will be presented. Because the people who have heard this word Swaminarayan, there's a lot of confusion and misunderstanding, and they don't know what this word even means. When you hear this word Swami, for most people, it brings up an image of somebody with a turban sitting somewhere in the Middle East or somewhere in India with some person with a turban. That is a Swami. That is not its meaning. That is not the meaning of the word Swami, and Narayan is also a different meaning. So I'm going to get into all of that thing. You'll see the videos on there, what these words actually mean, and how they have been misunderstood also by the general public, because it's not clear to the general public what is meant by Swaminarayan. The fact that this is a mantra. This is a mantra given by Sahajanand Swami is also not known to a lot of people. So all of this will be explained here. Again, it is my humble request. It is my humble request that you take your time and step by step, we take a journey together, an exploratory journey that I would say that you will find very interesting if you take the time for it, if you're interested in this. And on that basis, I again want to thank you for your time, your efforts, and please understand, I'm not here to criticize anybody. I'm not trying to promote one group versus I'm not trying to promote one group versus another group. In fact, I want to present Swaminarayan spirituality that is universal, that is applicable to everyone, and that everyone can benefit from it without groupism, without the bondages of the Gujarati language. The Gujarati language is tremendous. It is where the Swaminarayan Sampradaya developed in the state of Gujarat. But the teachings that are there, the spiritual teachings, are not limited to the state of Gujarat or Gujarati community or any such thing. So my attempt is to go beyond all such limitations of language, of belief systems, of organizations, and directly see if we can penetrate into the glory of the Atma, the Akshara Brahma, the Parabrahma, the spiritual entities that are there, the spiritual tattvas that are there. How to open this door, and how the Sampradaya itself is a means to this end. With respect to all the 40 branches right now, in my love, there's love and affection for all of them. I have met so many sages and sadhus and so many devotees over the years. Lots of prostrations to everyone. And with that feeling of love, affection, and synthesis and integration, we want to move ahead. So I want to again thank you for your time, for spending your valuable time in listening to this and to explore this channel, this particular YouTube channel. They explored the playlists, and also to visit the website, swaminarayanspirituality.com. Again, a lot of this is still under development, but it will continue to be under development. I mean, that development is not going to stop. There will be new and new material added again and again, and continual updates will be there, different perspectives will be presented, and that is the beauty. That is how we can progress well together. And so we shall progress this way. That is our prayer. And just one final point, that the tradition of Swaminarayan, which has now become a tradition, that tradition is a means to an end. The end is the realization. The means are the various scriptures and languages and temples and murtis and malas and guru paramparas, and so all this is a means to an end. And that end, in simple language, is to recognize that one is the divine soul, truth, consciousness, bliss solidified. One is one with the Akshara Brahma. This is one of the key points in Swaminarayan tradition. That I am not these three bodies, physical, subtle, causal. This is one point. And in that state of realization, to continue to worship God. This is the essence of the entire Swaminarayan Sampradaya. The Sampradaya is a means to this end. It is not an end in itself. No language is there to create narrow-mindedness. That is not the case. I'm speaking in English right now because that needs to be done this way. There is a tremendous beauty of the Gujarati language, and the original scriptures are in the Gujarati language, and many of them are in Sanskrit also. If you are familiar with those languages, you should go into them. But if you're not familiar with those languages, then these recordings can be helpful. And it is also my request for you to go and visit the various temples and learn from the different people there. It's different perspectives. And on that basis, continue to progress further and see where it all leads you. All right, well, thank you very much, and many prostrations and prayers to all of you, so that I can get blessings from all of those who are listening to this. Thank you very much.